Hello again guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be replacing the rear wheel hub bearings on my '01 Golf TDI. As you can see, I have the vehicle jacked up and safely supported. I went ahead and put the jack right here, and the jack stands on the sides there. Just make sure it's safely supported before you start working on it. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and replace these dust shields as well. These are pretty badly rusted on my car, as you can see. So I'll have to remove the stub axle to do that part, but if you don't need to replace your dust shields, then don't worry about it. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and remove this caliper. Okay guys, the first step, we're going to remove this parking brake cable. Make sure your parking brake is released inside the vehicle, or else you won't be able to get this off. So we're going to pop this clip off. And then just lift this cable up and out. You might need to maneuver this bracket a little bit to wiggle this cable around. There we go. Then you just have to pull it through. Just this rubber boot will get hung up in this hole here, so just kind of slowly work it through. Be careful not to tear it. There we go. Now we can remove these two bolts here holding the caliper on. Alright, get your 13mm socket. Then we'll go ahead and loosen this up here. You're probably going to have to hold this here. This is 15mm, but I don't have an open-ended wrench that's thin enough to fit in there, so I use this little adjustable wrench. It works just as well. So I'm going to loosen the top before I take that bottom one the whole way out. Okay, that's loose, so now I can go ahead and remove both of these by hand. Alright, now the caliper is loose. Just wiggle it out of here. And just kind of lean it there. Probably should get a string or something to tie this up out of the way so you don't have all that pressure hanging on the brake line itself. Just go ahead and pop these pads out of here. Set those aside. And then we can go ahead and move on and remove this rotor. Now you have to remove this screw here. It's a T30 torque screw. Remove that and we'll be able to take the rotor off. Be careful not to lose the screw. Alright, this exposes your hub. See how badly my dust shield is rusted. I am going to replace those like I said. So next step will be to pop this cap off here, and it'll expose our nut that holds this whole thing on the stub axle. Okay, now just get a junky screwdriver and just slowly go around and pop this cap off. I do have new ones, so I'm not worried about damaging it. It's a good idea to get new ones. But if you're careful, you can reuse it. So just slowly work your way around, and it'll slowly come loose. There we go. I managed to actually do a pretty good job. I could probably reuse this, but I have new ones, so I don't need to reuse it, but not too bad. Now this exposes our axle nut here. It's a 30 millimeter nut, so you need a special socket for that, which I do have. We'll go ahead and remove that now. Here's the 30 millimeter socket. Go ahead and loosen this. Not too bad. I do have new axle nuts. You're not supposed to reuse these. So now, next step would be to get a puller and pull this thing off. Okay, I'm going to use this puller now to remove this bearing. This is the gear puller I'm going to use. There's the part number up top there. Set it up like that. All we have to do is screw this in and it'll pop right off. Alright, for my next step, I'm going to remove this wheel speed sensor. I did buy new ones because I have to basically destroy this to get it out because it's just corroded in here so badly. So the first thing we'll do is remove this connector. Just push down on this plastic piece and pull it straight back. This one here is a little stuck and there's probably dirt in there. Then after you do that, it's a 5 millimeter hex head here. This needs to be removed. Remove this screw, and then you basically have to destroy this thing to get it out of here because it's stuck pretty bad. Okay, I'm going to remove this connector. Alright, now we can go ahead and remove this screw back here. Just make sure, see I can't even get this in here, just make sure there isn't any dirt inside this hole here. You don't want to strip that, so I'm going to go ahead and actually clean that out now. I have this little pick. I'm going to get in here and just get all the dirt out of the inside best I can so I can fit my Allen wrench in there. Okay, I got my Allen wrench in there. Now I'm going to break this loose. Here we go. It's just a matter of unscrewing this now. Okay, so what you have to do is just basically get a screwdriver behind here. If you're lucky, yours will come out. I'm not lucky, so mine's going to just break apart because of all this corrosion. So I'm going to basically just beat the crap out of it and break it. This will come off. And then from this side, break this off, and then just push this through to the other side. And then after that, we can go ahead and remove these 4 bolts. and get rid of this dust shield. Throw that away, and then we can remove this race. See, I just took the screwdriver and used the hammer and went behind it here, broke it. That's junk. Throw that away. Then we can come around this side and break this off here. See the back side there, just a little piece of plastic. So once we break this off, then we can beat it through and it'll come out. Basically, want to just break this thing apart. It'll come out in pieces, little by little. Okay, finally got the wheel speed sensor out of there. You can see it down here, it's all in pieces, a bunch of copper strands and plastic and whatnot. Okay, the next step is to remove these 4 bolts. We have a lot of rust here, so I won't be able to get a socket on here unless I clean this all off. So go ahead and go around each bolt. If you have corrosion, clean it all off. I do have new hardware, so I'm not going to reuse these, and you're not supposed to reuse them anyway. Volkswagen doesn't recommend it. I guess they're stretch bolts, so they're one-time use. So go ahead and remove these after I clean them off. Alright, these are 16 millimeter. So remove all 4 of these, and the dust shield will come off, along with the stub axle. And we can throw this dust shield away. I have a new one, and I'll show you how to remove this race then. Okay, this is junk. The stub axle should just pop right off. There we go. Now what we're going to do is put this back up into place, put the bolts back in, tighten them, just snug them, and we'll pull this race off. Okay, this is the kit I have. This bearing separator and puller set. I'll show you the setup. This is what we got going on right here to pull this race off. It works. I did it on the other side already. So all you have to do is put your wrench on here and screw it in, and it'll pop that race right off. There it goes. It's a lot safer than cutting it off, in my opinion. There we go. It's ready to go for the new one. Here's the race. And now I'm done with this. And on to the next step. Okay, before I install the new parts, I'm going to take a wire wheel and go over this whole thing, as well as this stub axle here too. I'm going to clean this up, get all that heavy rust off. Alright, that's what it looks like after I took the wire wheel to it. And here's the stub axle. A little bit of pitting, but it won't affect it, just cosmetic. This is the critical part right here. This is nice and smooth. Although it looks like it has grooves in it, it does not. But if yours is in bad shape, especially this surface, just get a new one. These are fairly inexpensive. Okay, here's our dust shield for the right rear. This goes on with the stub axle. So you'll put the stub axle on, this on top, and then thread your bolts in there, and the bolts get torqued to 44 foot-pounds. Okay, that's good to go. Now we can install our ABS sensor or wheel speed sensor. This just goes in through the back side here. Just make sure this hole is clean and free of any debris. It's a good idea. You could put a little sandpaper in there, go back and forth, clean that up a little bit, but mine's pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and insert this wheel speed sensor. And just slowly push it in until it's seated the whole way. So I had to clean this hole out a little bit better with the Dremel. This is a nice little attachment here. It worked out great. Now I can slide that sensor in there without any issue. Alright, I'm ready for the hub bearing. I did put a light film of grease on here to help it slide back. Here's the new bearing. Go ahead and slide it on. Just make sure before you do this, guys, that you don't have any nicks or anything on here, no dirt, no debris. So I have to get this pretty perfect here to slide on. So I'm going to need 2 hands for this one. Okay, so I got it started on there. It's not seated the whole way back into position, so I'm going to take the old axle nut and use that to push it back where it needs to be, and then I will do the final torque with the new axle nut that I got, because these are one-time use as well. Okay, I'm seated. Now I'll just remove the nut. I'm going to grab the new nut and then torque it the rest of the way. There's the new axle nut with the part number. As you can see, it has the nylon locking thread there. That's why these are just one-time use. and then our dust cap will go on in the end. There's the part number. Okay, this rear axle nut gets torqued to 129 foot-pounds. There we go, that's torqued. Okay, don't forget your dust cap. If you have a mallet, this works perfect. Okay, great. That's it. That completes it. The rest of it's basically just a brake job, guys. So, put your rotor back on, pads, caliper, and tighten everything down. And then don't forget to torque your wheel studs to 89 foot-pounds. And that is it. So thanks for watching, guys. Check the description for all the part numbers and whatnot. And hit that like button. Please subscribe. See you in the next one. Take care.